3M has, which isn't on here, but we're talking about getting paid for what we do. 3M has a badass tool online in the cloud right now that's up and running finally. It only took them 2 years longer than they said it would, where you can invoice on any of their materials. It's called Crimp. Crimp. If you call your 3M rep, they will set you, if you buy 3M stuff, they will set you up on Crimp. It's an invoicing tool that's in the cloud. It tells you what products are supposed to go where, and it also is an invoicing tool. So it will invoice at refinish, right? In other words, it will invoice at retail rates, right? Because your discount that you have with 3M is nobody's business but yours, okay? You get that discount, why? Because you're a wholesale company buying bulk, so they give you a break. Same reason why we give a break to DRPs. It's the same theory. And it's no insurance company's business on what your break is, right? You know, so don't fall to that stupidity. I had somebody doing that last week to me. They're like, man, they're asking me what my discount is. I said, did you punch it in the face, or what'd you do? You know, I mean, that's why would I? It's just stupid, right? That's what my discount. It's ridiculous. So, y'all with me? Do I need to beat that subject up anymore? Get the Crimp tool. If you're using 3M stuff, you're using any of their products, and you don't have that invoicing tool, you're missing out. It is the, you've used it?
It's cool. I use it,
yeah. It's cool.
But, you can go into like a door, you're replacing a door, it'll tell you recommended procedures. It gives you a whole bunch of crap, but.
Yeah, some of which you're probably not gonna.
Yeah, but the bulk of it, seam sealer, panel bonding, the rope, seam sealer, it tells you all that stuff. And you print it, it says 3M at the top, and most of the time they take it.
Yeah, they're not going to fight back on 3M too. That's the other cool thing about their tool popping back out.
3M and
Where did the invoice come from? It came from 3M.
Yeah.
Here's the other cool thing. If they go check the prices are what 3M, what their posted price retail rate is. So there's really it's really hard to argue, right?
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean,
the debate becomes less. Then it becomes, you're the only one asking for this. I'm not going to pay for it. And that's just like what my daughter used to
Follow it
do.
with the OEM procedure though.
Yeah.
I had one insurance company, 3M says that, what about the manufacturer? Okay, well, call you right back.
Yeah.
And then I sent them the OEM procedure.
Manufacturer says they should charge you double. Now how do you feel? Usually though, right? The
Well,
manufacturer's
it
gonna,
kind of bit me in the ass because I came back with some more stuff.
right, that's my
Well, no,
point.
you only asked for this, I'm asking you for this now. So.
Well, I mean, if they all of a sudden care what the OE says, see where I would go with that? I would just, oh, so you care what the OE says? Okay, here you go. Here's everything the OE said on this job, not just on seat
Yeah,
seal.
their thing was hoping that I wouldn't call back.
Well, of course.
But I didn't,
Yeah.
and I won't go.
well, the other thing too is I'm pretty confident that your paint distributor would be more than happy to supply an invoice that will then in turn be deleted that might have no discount on there.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah, all the time.
you know, I do that for. I have a particular customer who every 2 weeks they want 8115 and they want a couple of seam sealers on there. List price. I take a PDF of it, send it to them, immediately delete the invoice. But now we can turn around to insurance and be like, look, it's from 2 days ago. I paid $85 for 8115 or whatever the price is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, yeah, like Greg said, you have no obligation to tell insurance what you paid for 3M
Yeah.
or the discount that you have. You should get list price for that in terms of helping your GP.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
for
Yeah,
sure.
Craig Vendor will do it all the time.
Can be a huge profit center for you that, quite honestly, in this industry has been a costly business for a very
Yeah.
long time. I've had people even eating freaking tubes of seam sealer for many years, you know. But again, you know what's kind of changed that is the stuff's gotten expensive, right? So there was a point, if you're old like me, where you could buy a damn sausage tube of seam sealer for frickin' $4. Well, you can't do that anymore, right? It was a lot easier to eat then than it is now. Though, again, don't let them get away with not having to pay for all the stuff that they owe to put Mrs. Jones' car back to pre-wreck because they didn't ask her opinion if they should insure the car or not in the beginning. Now, had they, and you told them I wouldn't do it, then that's a whole different conversation. Right? So the other one that's really cool that you can get that I believe, I don't know who created this blending rule. ruler, but you can get this blending ruler from a lot of different,
3M makes one.
3M makes one,
Yeah.
who's that damn Auto CP, so anyway, you can get this, it's a magnet, it's a really cool idea. It walks you through somewhere in here. Maybe it doesn't. Where did I see that? I'm not a paint guy, which I've told you all that. But I thought it told us how that thing worked. Either way, you kind of get it, right? So roll the tape out, apply primer to the first 3 inches of the tape, allow it to dry, then apply the color over the top, extending it 18 inches out, and the blend should be used in that manner, right? There's a repair, right? And then it shows you where the paint should have to start and stop. Does that make sense to everybody? So you can get those. What is that? Oh, that's just that's a different thing. The best instruction is the 1, 2, 3, 4 that's in your book, right? Because everybody's got that. It's just a quickie roll thing. It's cheap to do if you're having problems convincing insurance companies where the paint should start to stop, or in other words, if you should have to blend or not. The blending ruler can help you show a lay insurance person why we need to get into the next panel. Does that make sense? And it's visual, so you can lay it up there, take a picture, and maybe that alone will help us get that done. I'm not going to get into, no one's fighting anybody on R&I time, right, for painting stuff like that doesn't happen, right? The other thing that people use to getting paid for trying to get paid for what they do, the ASA puts out these 3 refinish time for blended panel, for LKQ, and for repair panel. I'm not going to say they do it every year, but they put it out every couple of years. You can go to ASA's website and pull any of those documents down. The one that I use the most is the more refinish time for repaired panels. Basically, if you look at that one, what it's showing you is on a repaired panel, there's 38 steps. On a new panel, there's only 21. And then you can break down the minutia, but I look at an insurance person and say, so exactly explain to me why I should be cutting my time on a repaired panel when I have all these other steps I have to do. You see what I'm saying? Or you can start letting me bill you for the body supplies that I have to use, right? Because you use more material on a repaired panel than you do on a new, but in their theory, when they do partial refinish, they're hurting you in both directions. They're taking material from you, which you use more of, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So, and quite honestly, the amount of money, the little bit of money that you may save on base by, a partial refinish is minuscule, right? That's not a lot of money, The money's in the clear, mostly, unless it's that blue toner on a Lexus that changes everything. But you with me? So this stuff can help that. Is this in itself going to make an insurance person flip over to the good side? Probably not. But it is pretty hard to argue, and that's why I like throwing stuff in their face, because when it gets to the point where their only debate is that you're the only one asking for it and I'm not going to pay for it, well, that just means I won the debate. I may go ahead and concede now, just because I won, right? But that's just how I'm wired. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just telling you. You see what I'm saying? I push it in front of their face all the time and make sure that they realize that I'm right and they're wrong. And we can agree on that. We can move on, right? You know what I mean? So ASA, some of that stuff will help. If you really get a crazy person in your shop, this acknowledgement form is lovely to throw in front of people's face. They will never sign it if you read it. But that doesn't mean that you can't put it in front of them. And not just on material stuff, on OE procedures and everything else. And if they refuse to sign, just put down there, Johnny at State Farm refused to sign. Time, date it, stick it in your file. I'm not saying, especially on an OE procedure, quite honestly, that that's going to hold you harmless if someone dies in a car that you fix. But it certainly could help. in the court of law, right? That someone saw that you actually went through the deal, right? Here's the problem though, is that if you do that and now you're showing the court that you should have done this but you chose not to do it because no one would pay you for it, you just chose money over safety, which we learned in the John Eagle case is that's no good. The jury did not like that thought process. So don't forego safety over monetary decisions. So on that note, when it comes down to these OE procedure things, welding and, putting a car, the welds back where they're supposed to and not gluing roofs on when it says to weld them on. Look, you got two options. If the insurance company's refusing to pay you to fix the car properly, you either bill the owner or you do it and absorb it. Do not take the option of just not doing it. Because if those people get into a wreck, you're going to lose your business. Because the jury's going to come back and say, you made a poor choice. You should have either billed that customer for it, or you should have made a business decision that you were going to do it for free. You see what I mean? So don't just not do it. That's my point. Because that's what will get you in big trouble. So I'm not going to talk about R&I time because that's just silly. Though what I will tell you about this, and this is actually a shop up north and I've been in it. I'm not going to say he uses this to convince insurance companies to pay for R&I anymore, but I'll tell you what it does do, and you were telling me how the competition around you is, who can drop their doors the farthest, marketing tool. Having this door inside this man's shop where he's cut the belt molding, the door handle, and the side molding in half, and then he's painted it, and he's shown what happens when you don't R&I something, the clear builds up and eventually peels. So now he's got this sitting in his showroom, and it's mainly for CP, for customer pay deals, so he can show those people, here's why we take stuff off the car. If we don't, it's going to look, and I know the pictures don't show it, but you know what it looks like, right? If it don't, it's going to look like this. If we R&I it, it's going to be, so why is Mako $300 cheaper than me? Here's why. You see what I mean? So from that standpoint, the prop can actually be helpful, right? I guess what I'd say to you is if you're having a lot of customer pay stuff come in and people bartering with you over price because the competition around you doesn't fix cars right, having props inside your office to show them, it might help you. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's something to think about. I thought it was a pretty cool thing that the guy did with the door. It was originally done to convince insurance companies to pay for R&I. He's an old guy. But now he's using it to convince his customers that here's why you should have us fix your car and not, Mako. I don't mean to use them for an example, but they kind of consistently are the same across the country. They don't take Huh?
I said they're the most obvious one.
Yeah, they're the most obvious one. Well, they don't take anything off, right? They tape everything off and just...
They sell things are $300.
Exactly. So some other things that you can do, as far as selling goes. So there's touch-up that you can sell. The headlight restoration stuff, I will say, is viable. I don't know about selling touch-up, but I can tell you for sure that the headlamps, people, it, everybody in here knows it. These cars come in with yellowed-ass headlamps all the time. If you're only putting one in, you end up with that customer out in front of you going, this one's new, this one's yellow. We may buff that one for free just to make them go home. But if you had 3M's little kit, which I think it's in your book. If you bought their little kit and you were selling it as a norm inside your shop, you can actually make it into a little bit of a profit center, right? So just FYI. The other thing, and this one doesn't really do it justice, but I've got a shop, and I'm happy to share the file with y'all, but I think it's brilliant what this guy did when it comes to selling detail and that stuff. So he's a very heavy DRP shop. He's got his customer information forms that people come in and sign, and sign their life away, give us permission to work on their car. Everybody in this room has that, right? What he's added to that when the admin piece, when they come and drop the car off, is this tiny little Word doc. Let's see if I can find it real quick. it so simple. God, I got a lot of files. All right. Here we go. So, what's super simple about this thing, so just, again, I'm not telling y'all what to do, I'm just giving you a thought process of what someone else I saw did that I thought was pretty smart. So, we all have a really hard time getting paid for details, would you not agree? Even though I could make an argument that the insurance company should pay you to detail the car, because again, if you have to put a unicide in a car, there's really no way to 100% protect it from dirt and dust, it's going to get filled up, and they should pay for a detail, right? And I do, by the way, just so you know, there are parts of the country where they do pay for it if you fight, right? Especially on cars that have glass out or sides out of it, they're probably going to fight back on a bumper job. Well, they're probably going to fight back regardless, but you can make an argument if you're putting a quarter or a unicide or a roof or you've got the glass out of it, that they owe